This video is going to cover about the various Millennium Development Goals. Now, in terms of goals in development, so we've already covered a little bit about development and what is it versus economic growth. And the development goals were created by the United Nations in 2000 to kind of be like a 15-year plan. So what this kind of PDF is going to show is what is the goal, what are some of the sub-goals you can kind of see in red here on the side. So here's the goal, here's the sub-goals, some facts and figures that have happened over the last several years, and then country progress in terms of like what countries have been specifically good at reaching the Millennium Development Goal. These have since been replaced by the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, and so that'll be covered in another video. The basics of these Millennium Development Goals and the SDGs are that, what's worthwhile? I mean, to try to remember all of these is going to be, difficult in the realm of IB economics. And so just kind of think about like, well, what do we want the world to be like? What do we want to get rid of? What do we want to help? And chances are that's one of the development goals. So the first one is to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. Seems like a worthwhile goal, and so the UN works to try to reach that goal. And so the way that the UN uses these goals as kind of a way to draw the path out. Okay, so they're going to look at specific countries, they're going to look at the world as a whole and try to figure out how best to operate within those goals. MDG 2 is to achieve universal primary education, so to give young people, children, both boys and girls, a full course of primary schooling. And so you can kind of see some facts and figures, some country progress. Then we have MDG 3, promote gender equality and empower women. Okay, that will help with growth and development, and because again these are development goals, and in order to develop, we need to bring in, many countries need to make more equal opportunities, especially for women, and to be able to empower them in many countries where women have much less rights. MDG 4, reduce child mortality rates. So try to reduce, and you can see their sub-goal, or kind of the fleshed out goal, is reduced by 2/3 between 90 and 2015, the under 5 mortality rate. And you can see some of the progress being made around the world. But again, if you reduce child mortality, it's going to increase life expectancy, which thus will increase development. MDG 5, improve maternal health. So again, it's going to increase overall life expectancy, which will increase development. So try to find ways to improve maternal health and access to good doctors. MDG 6, combat HIV, AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. As that kind of sprung up in the 90s and early 2000s, the HIV and AIDS virus and malaria and other diseases that, for the most part in America, we take for granted that they don't exist. I mean, malaria in the United States is almost non-existent. Polio is another one that afflicts much of the world, yet in America we have almost 0%, 0 cases of polio per year. Other things like smallpox, again, eradicated in the United States, but around the world it isn't. MDG 7, environmental sustainability. So try to find ways to make sustainable growth and to try to keep in mind or be environmentally conscious. And then MDG 8, global partnership. Find ways to open up the world and to, for example, and bring, this part, bring pharmaceutical companies, have essential drugs available to developing countries, those countries that need it most. So if we have the vaccine, there's almost no reason why pharmaceutical companies shouldn't be selling to, lesser developed countries, but at the same time, it's still a profit game. And the United Nations wants to try to make it so that there is this global awareness and global sharing of various things such as, healthcare and drugs to eradicate disease.